Rosette, I'm sorry for everything. I'm gonna stay with the Freedom Warriors. I'm gonna stand up to these guys. I've done enough running from things I fear and abhor. All I've ever done when I was afraid was run.
Is that what you really want?
Yes. I don't regret this decision. Maybe these superheroes I've looked up to for years might be what I need.
Prepare for battle! All infantry at the docks in 15 minutes.
How does anyone work with that guy?
He wasn't always this way. After Xandos killed his daughter, he was never the same.
What was he like before?
Well, he was a different man. My name is Rosette Dedela from Geolaven. I'm here to fight for choices.
He couldn't handle the loss, huh?
I need to go to the other room to prepare a weapon for battle. You just stay here and keep lookout for if they attack.
Alright. Until then... I don't like the Batman. But not because it's bad, but because it's painfully mediocre. That's if you average out the quality of each season. Alright, let's rewind. The Batman is a 2004 series about Batman, drawn in a Teen Titans-esque pseudo-anime style, with character designs created by Jeff Matsuda, the guy behind Jackie Chan Adventures. It's artistically pretty cool, but in other senses it's not very interesting. I really like Batman, and I admit, I enjoyed this on the Saturday mornings I saw it when I was young. But when I saw a few episodes of Batman the Animated Series, this thing had little to offer me. Let me make it clear immediately, as entertainment for a child, this series is decent. First, I'm gonna highlight a few things this series does well, before I go into why I don't like it. First, the animation and art style looks great. I'm very impressed. It looks like a cool mix of Teen Titans and Jackie Chan Adventures. The second thing is that the first opening is pretty good too. It gets the mood set, the intro is catchy, it's even equipped with bat squeals created by Guitar. There's lots of cool art direction, especially when it came to the villains featured, though many clips are taken from the pilot. Last thing, the voice acting. It's very good. Many voices are on par or superior to the DCAU versions. It's a good testament to the improvement of voice direction since that time. Rino Romano, as Batman, does a decent job. Sure, he doesn't sound as masculine as Kevin Conroy, but come on.
You know, Gotham Penitentiary has a thriving retirement community. Mine are bigger than yours.
Alfred is good. Tom Kenny as Penguin is fitting. Clancy Brown as Mr. Freeze sounds freaking awesome. And biggest improvement from DCAU is Ron Perlman as Killer Croc, who is my least favorite villain in Batman TAS.
By the time they figure out what caused the flood, downtown Gotham will be my personal swamp.
So every episode, some new villain of the week shows up to Gotham and threatens it on a semi-large scale somehow. There's a lot less small-scale crime stories in this series. One of the main reasons I don't like this series too much is that the characters don't feel like Batman. Let me elaborate. Batman and Alfred are just fine. He's kind of missing character depth in the early seasons, and he likes to bust out crappy one-liners as opposed to his normal stoicism, but whatever. We don't have Commissioner Gordon until the end of the second season. Instead, we're stuck with the lady to represent Asian Americans, Ellen Yin, and the man to represent African Americans, Ethan Bennett, who is also Bruce Wayne's best friend. Their police chief is also Latino. Alright, that's a good intention to avoid whitewashing, but we got no idea who these characters are. Many of them are reused anyway. Chief Rojas is Harvey Bullock, but promoted and a bigger jerk. Ellen Yin is more original because she likes to go hands-on and starts off by the book, but later she becomes the Commissioner Gordon type character and then gets promptly replaced by Commissioner Gordon. And Ethan is basically Harvey Dent on a more personal level. One debated part of the series is the Joker. I think it's not bad. Kevin Michael Richardson gives a fantastic vocal performance that blows everyone in this show out of the water. It's impressive to the point where I'd call it one of my favorite Joker performances, on par with Troy Baker and John DiMaggio. Mark Hamill still did it better in Return of the Joker in the Arkham games because he'd been playing that role for over a decade. Unfortunately, this version is not the best written, so Richardson's performance feels like it's half-wasted. That design, the size of his chin, the fact that his tongue is like green, he doesn't wear any shoes, he doesn't even look human anymore, which heavily diminishes his dread. The Joker was scary because he seemed human, but something was just off. This Joker is basically a monster in appearance. Joker does things that are within character, but he rarely has any true dread to him, even when he gets abnormally evil at the first season finale. Where this series is utterly devastated are the other villains. How do I say this? They have no character. The Penguin, the gentleman of crime, not a good fighter but good with his umbrella gun. In this version he fights like Tong Poo from Cowboy Bebop, doing some insane move that someone with his body type should never be capable of. Also, the whole notion of him being one of the only sane Batman villains? Gone. He's just as crazy as the rest of them now. Joker also becomes a kung fu master, cause like, we don't need to contrast with Batman anymore. Bane, who was supposed to be Batman's greatest threat in his rogue gallery, just shows up early in the series, is totally dangerous as hell, more than any other villain. and then he suddenly becomes a candidate for the least dangerous villain in all his subsequent appearances. What they do to this character is just awful. The absolute worst offender is Mr. Freeze. As some of you may know, he was my favorite animated supervillain and favorite DCAU villain. They made him into a deep character who was motivated by something very relatable, and he gradually lost his humanity. He did want to be better, but life just wasn't on his side. Here he's possibly the blandest villain, and there's no implication he was sympathetic at all. And somehow he looks even sillier than he looked like in Batman the Animated Series. Also, he makes ice puns, like in Batman and Robin.
Have an ice evening. The choice cuts must be in the icebox. If I'm no longer living, Batman, you are the one who iced me, baby. It's cold outside.
Slick as ice, Batman.
Unfortunately, this character is even weaker than Schwarzenegger's version because, aside from Clancy Brown making him into the Kurgan, this Freeze is even more boring. Basically, the villains are almost entirely defined by their powers or gimmick now. And there are people who actually believe that supervillains and superheroes are only defined by their powers. We call these people morons. It would be easy to make fun of Riddler's new goth look, but honestly it looks way better than the new Batman Adventures version, so whatever. Bane turns into Red Hulk now, he looks like a monster. Insert comment here about how he skips leg day. The sole villain they improved was Killer Croc, who is much more threatening and less moronic than his TAS counterpart. I approve of this version of Croc.
Tens of thousands of lives could be lost.
And I'll shed a crocodile tear for each and every one.
Some villains that never got an adaptation get one in this show, like Cluemaster, a child prodigy who can answer almost any question but loses it when Batman pulls this on him.
Name the true identity of the Batman.
There's also Ragdoll, which, well, it should be obvious what he does. And Spellbinder, who likes to shoot hallucinations at people. This is an issue because this makes Batman's rogues into just guys for him to fight. That's a gross misuse of them because they are more interesting than almost any superhero's foes. Make an action show about another hero, like, I don't know, Superman. His villains are more bland than the Batman ones, and you can make more creative action sequences. The only rogue gallery who matches Batman's in quality would be Spider-Man's. Batman the Brave and the Bold went for pure campiness, and I'm cool with it because it has its own charm. It's something different. It embraced a fun nature. This series, at least in the first 2 seasons, has this horrible, conflicting tone, but it doesn't keep the character depth. These creators are oblivious to the fact that Batman was a cut above these other action series because they had more complete characters, not because the visuals looked better, not because of the art style. Fine, you want to make an action series instead of a crime-based one? Okay, but the characters have to be interesting, or at least properly defined. Even Jackie Chan Adventures did a good job defining their characters beyond just what abilities they had. Also, not really a relevant side note, Bat Swarms make up basically every scene transition with that same chirp swarm. They only changed it up in season 5. It's one of those things that's cool at first, but it gets old because it occurs like, I don't know, 6 times an episode. I've withheld talking about it, but I'm going to now. There was this thing in the mid-2000s called the Bat Embargo, where Warner Brothers decided that to prevent confusion from children audiences, there would only be one version of a Batman character per video media. That's why in Justice League Unlimited we missed out on villains that would have made a good threat to that team. Like Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, Joker, or Bane. They were reserved for this show. Okay, I admit, I'm a little bitter about that. This show was not allowed to use the villains that were reserved for the Nolan series, besides Joker. So Scarecrow, Ra's al Ghul, Two-Face, and the Mad Hatter don't get to appear in The Batman. Ra's al Ghul's role as Batman's greatest foe is covered by Hugo Strange in this series. And Ethan Bennett's basically playing Two-Face, but as Clayface. So the first 2 seasons are of pretty average quality. Batman fights a villain every week, yada yada. Some things are memorable though. I do note that in one episode there's an original character called Cash Tankinson, who is highly memorable.
Sorry, partner, but Cash Tankinson always drives.
Does Cash Tankinson always wear sunglasses at night and speak in third person? Just curious.
Partly due to Patrick Warburton's voice and the fact that his appearance and attitude resembled Johnny Bravo if he was a cop. Too bad that episode, the villain he's dealing with is the Joker, otherwise he wouldn't have ended up so mentally scarred he never returned. There's another legitimately interesting episode where Joker kidnapped Detective Yin, and the only way to find her location is to enter the Joker's insane mind with a machine by Hugo Strange. It's kind of a mind screw episode, but it's one of the more exciting and interesting ones. Also, I gotta say, there are audio cues throughout the series that try to sound like the first intro, but they just end up sounding annoying. I realize this should honestly be a small gripe, but it's just loud, dissonant noise that lacks the melody in the opening, and these audio cues show up like a dozen plus times an episode. It gets grating after a bit.
Pizza delivery!
Mr. Wayne. Detective Yin.
It's not until the end of season 2 that Commissioner Gordon shows up to replace Ellen Yin, who was playing Gordon's role, except more hands-on and distressed damsel-y. Someone could say that this is sexist, but I'm far too distracted by the fact that she looks and dresses like the main girl from Gargoyles. Then comes season 3, which changes the intro song, and it sucks ass. No, seriously, it's one of the biggest drops in theme song quality I can think of off my mind. Jesus. No! No! You tried to start off all dark and menacing, and then it turns into a highly cheesy 60s sound? That's vomitous. I guess at this point they realized that people were going to get sick of the fact that Batman just fights people in the show, so the third season takes the show a new direction. Not a good one, however. Because Robin was on Teen Titans and Warner Brothers was convinced that people can't tell the difference between this and this, Batgirl's introduced first. At the end of the last season, Ellen Yin, who was our main female lead, is removed from the show. Basically, this season decided to destroy everything the first 2 seasons had. Sure, they weren't great, but this new stuff isn't any good. First episode introduces Batgirl. I give this series points for introducing Batgirl immediately in the 3rd season with that new intro that features her, instead of trying to make it a thing that openings spoil. I actually like Batgirl a bit. She's cute. She has a cool, sharp-witted personality too. She's kind of like Starfire, where her likability makes you overlook that she doesn't have that much character. Her and Batman's relationship in the 3rd season is her basically being a stalker fan who is semi-competent in battle, or at least more competent in crime fighting than a 100-pound girl with no proper training has the right to be. He doesn't train her until season 4, which is kind of a prick move considering that he leaves her at a higher risk of dying. At first Batman's kind of annoyed with her, but he eventually learns to respect and befriend her. Oh man, look, he's finally getting character development. How nice. Though to be honest, you must be pretty alone if you go around dressed up as a bat every night beating up people, and if someone's gonna follow you, hey, company. Poison Ivy is also introduced. She's a teenager in this adaptation. I don't know, I think Ivy's gimmick of seducing men works better when the character is more womanly. When it's a teenager, it just doesn't feel right. Unless the creators are making a statement that standards of female beauty are changing from womanly to girly. Sorry, I'm overthinking it. Just something that's been on my mind lately. Not that big a gripe, I'm just going off track because of how bland and forgettable the show is. I would normally go recap the plots, poking fun at holes for my amusement, but there aren't that many plots worth noting until the 4th season at least. I guess I can note that every episode that involves Clayface tends to be really serious, which I kind of applaud. After Two-Face became bad, he never came back. But this version of Clayface wants to be good, but living like a normal person and letting go of that desire for revenge against the one that wronged you is understandably hard. This translates out to him trying to murder the Joker every time he sees him. Bennett is also struggling to get back into his old life because being Clayface is way easier. Honestly, he could make a lot of money being a contract killer because, you know, he can shapeshift. The 3rd season has very few iconic characters to introduce, though there is one, Gearhead, voiced by future Batman, I got no idea how to say it, just put the text on screen.
Let's check out your reaction time, Batman.
Gearhead's thing is that he's a racer who is also a cyborg with nanotechnology that lets him take over machines, reshaping them in really cool ways, like making a normal car into his yellow race car. Also, in this one episode, Joker got access to Bane's venom, which is pretty cool considering what Arkham Asylum was about. And the season finale I guess deserves some recognition. It introduces Dave, a computer with the upside down Brainiac symbol, programmed by Hugo Strange to be the ultimate mastermind of Gotham. And he sounds like if Dexter's dad was evil.
So choose your poison, but choose it soon. No!
Also, it features a cameo from the more traditional appearance of Hugo Strange. Dave steals a bunch of information to rob everyone's banks, create chaos, and discover Batman's secret identity. Just what does Dave think he's doing? Batman defeats Dave by telling him he was a computer and Strange ends up in Arkham. Now, on to Season 4. It introduces Robin, redesigns Batman to look more like his DCAU version with a much more square jaw, and brings in Alan Burnett, who worked a lot on DCAU, to be showrunner. This season, all in all, is pretty good. For once, this feels like a Batman series. The tone is still off, but the storytelling and character development is heavily improved. Seriously, the qualities of the episodes are way better than the previous 3 seasons, and might be on par with the new Batman adventures. This Robin's an annoying kid and unfortunately has a kind of annoying voice. I can't really complain though, it does sound like they got a real kid to voice him. I enjoy his character enough though. He's not full of rage like the Teen Titans Robin, but he's also not nearly as good at fighting. After all, what is he, like 12 in this adaptation? The intro episode of Robin is fine. It has Kevin Conroy as Dick Grayson's father too. Awesome! And also trippy. Though the two Batmen never say a word to each other, it's just weird to hear Conroy's voice in this series.
John Grayson, the circus manager. Can I help you?
The episode is pretty emotional and dark, and Tony Zuko is, without hyperbole, the most threatening and evil villain in this whole series, with no funny quirks or cartoonish gimmicks. Just watch this scene.
We were knife throwers. Well, I threw the knives, and Dad hoped I wouldn't hit him. It was quite an act, really.
Why'd you give up such a promising career?
Well, one day, I missed.
Season starts strong. Clayface returns after being absent a whole season, and he gets cured, and promptly replaced with another Clayface, this time the original from the comics, and he is a much more cruel and stereotypical villain. Then there's another episode where Hugo Strange makes Gotham into a town of zombies. It's quite exciting, mysterious, and one of the most dramatic episodes. Black Mask gets his first animated adaptation, and he gets promoted to a Nolan-esque terrorist with a private army. There's an episode based on
The Dark Knight Returns,
set 1,000 years in the future, with a rectangular Frank Miller Batman fighting Mr. Freeze. There's also the intro episode for Harley Quinn. It was written by Paul Dini, the head writer for Batman the Animated Series, and it is good and loyal to the original Harley Quinn overall, though they changed her profession from Arkham psychiatrist to talk show host, which basically represents the complete lack of subtlety this series has. Also, the cuteness she had in DCAU, it's kind of creepy now because she's a lot more violently insane. The last major noteworthy episode is called Rumors, which features a vigilante that's capturing a ton of villains with plans of executing them. For this series, this is about as deep as it gets. It's like we decided to dive for this one. Rumor also has the benefit of having Ron Perlman do his Slade voice, and an action scene where Batman and Robin solo basically every one of their rogues. Unfortunately, none of them talk, so that kind of diminishes the effect. In the season finale, Batman meets Morgan Freeman and the Martian Manhunter, and the two team up to defeat an army of robot aliens, called the Joining. Their name sucks, I know. Could have been the Hive, the Horde, the Fused, but no. It's a long dramatic episode with a nice characterization for Batgirl and Robin as sidekicks, and Batman actually caring about them. It's got the largest stakes the series has so far. Hell, even the villains help the police against the Joining. I'm also amused by how nonchalant Alfred and Batman are about the whole alien invasion thing.
What's going on?
Alien invasion.
How are you so calm, Alfred? Aliens! I think that would warrant at least one of your signature cocked eyebrows.
I keep house for a man who dresses like a bat and works in a cave. At this point in my life, there's little that phases me.
It ends with Batman being introduced to the Justice League. This Justice League also has no women. On to Season 5. The first episode is the Batman-Superman crossover. Superman, Lois Lane, and Lex Luthor reprise their roles from DCAU, which can strike someone as either awesome or completely off, or both.
I take it Ms. Lane is alive and well, once again.
Anyway, Superman is surprisingly a douche, being pretty unappreciative and cocky the multiple times Batman saves him from the forces of Lex, and thus he walks right into Luthor's trap, which gets his ass mind-controlled. So Luthor plans to become ruler of the world, though he says to prevent another alien invasion. They stop him, Superman stops being a Grayson, and he joins the Justice League. In this season, most of the episodes reinvent the series' identity. Again. More than half the episodes of the seasons is just Batman and Robin going to chill with a member of the Justice League, and they fight more DC villains. The season, for the most part, yeah, it sucks. Main reason being that the heroes and the villains of the Justice League are so boring. Green Arrow, Count Vertigo, Flash, Mirror Master, Green Lantern, Sinestro, no characterization, just a guy with a different set of powers to fight. To be fair, it feels like a crossover. The issue is the other show that we're crossing with doesn't exist. You know, if they did like more episodes of this, they could have developed their personalities, but like it was one episode and the focus wasn't on the hero, it was on the situation and who they were fighting. These characters really need more than a single episode to define their personalities. On the plus side, a sizable number of episodes that are about Batman, they are good, because the characters have been established. The plots aren't quite as good as the last season, but the Gotham villain-based episodes are entertaining enough. Unfortunately, they severely cut back on Batgirl, who was the more interesting of the two sidekicks. Before the finale, one episode is worth noting, The End of Batman. This episode has two costumed supervillains, Wrath and Scorn. They're douchebags. They also defend criminals from Batman and Robin, and Wrath figures out Batman is Bruce Wayne. Joker manages to gas them both before they can tell, because 1, they kinda piss him off, and 2, only he gets to destroy Batman. It's one of Joker's best scenes in this series, and it sticks it to two of the most unlikable characters the series has ever produced. So, grand finale. All the superpowered members of the Justice League disappear, one by one. To be fair, it finally gives Green Arrow a major character trait. He feels uncomfortable with superhumans on the team. because he feels like he'd be unable to keep up with them. Martian Manhunter tells the remaining heroes to find Hugo Strange, and find the Joining is apparently behind this. Eventually they find that Hugo Strange managed to contact the Joining and using their technology completely drain the powers of the Justice League so he can have ultimate knowledge. So the League goes to meet with Batgirl and begin the fight against their super robots with Batman's contingency plan guns to subdue the Justice League in case. The League manages to get their powers back, discover the catatonic Strange, and they fight off the Joining. So it's completely hopeless, but the heroes figure out that the Joining can be repelled with Strange's mind, which has the code to shut down the mothership, and then it's just over. Honestly, compared to the last finale, this one is absolutely, completely average.
Reach on the bridge.
What? Wait a second, I might die out there. I can't have my last words on a review be that. But the Batman is okay in quality, but it's bland in comparison to the Brave and the Bold and DCAU. Well, never mind, I don't have any cool last words. Time to go die.
Come at me! I'm waiting.
Mr. Magnetic! A blaster. Maybe I can use that.
Ah, here we are. And even the Watcher is here. What do you plan to do to me with that gun?
What do you think? Guess what a gun does.
Oh, pretty ballsy of a suburban kid who reviews cartoons.
I'm plenty pissed. You bastards used me.
Fall back and go help the others. This is my fight.
But... fine.
Let's see what you can do. This alloy doesn't magnetize.
Yes, but they don't know that.
What?
That most of those ships are magnetic. Thus, I can slam them into your other ships. Allow me to demonstrate.
Well then, I guess we will just have to demagnetize you. Well, let's see if you cry more when I gut your comrades like I did your daughter.
I will make sure your wickedness upon this galaxy will be remembered as nothing more than a bad dream.
An unorganized group of rebels forming a democracy. Don't make me laugh. Your sense of justice and utopia are misguided. You think that even if you somehow beat him, another won't rise to take his place. If the planets were all free, you may just take Hathadon's place as the Emperor. There will always be conflict, and you won't be the one to stop it. Allow me to free you from this worldly suffering. Come! Welcome the sweet embrace of death. It's laced with a neurotoxin. Now that you're less excitable, your son, he has the same power as you do.
What?
That's right. The Master said he has the power to be quite the FF soldier. He even said I could train him, so don't worry. Your fatherhood duties are covered.
No!
That's beautiful. Cheap shot there, boy, but useless.
I told you to get out of here.
I used my best judgment. Plus, I haven't officially joined you guys yet.
Fool, you just signed your death warrant.
Aha! My signature is messy. No one would know it's me.
Die! Didn't see that one coming, did you? We know about your weapon, and we're already inoculated. Now you go tell me where my family is. Where are they? Tell me! Huh?
Cawthron.
Devin Fern, your reckless actions and inability to wait for my backup has cost the lives of thousands of men.
But Master...
I'll decide your sanction later, but first I have other affairs to attend to. I never thought I'd see you two standing on the same side.
Cawthron, buddy, remember when you come to interrupt my videos and stuff? Good times!
Whatever you throw at me would be like a pebble to the surface of a star. If I wanted to kill you all, I would have blown your base up already.
I won't give up. Your regime will.
Let me give you a reason to, Terran. Your wife and your kids are still alive. I've been keeping them at the capital. They really want to see you again. If you call off your men, you can save the lives of both your soldiers and mine. Now you and your troublemakers would still need to be executed, but you will die with far more dignity, and you'll spend time with your family before the execution, whose safety I promise, no matter what choice you make.
And if I refuse?
It would be a shame for them to hear that their treasonous father spent his last breath disturbing the established order. Your children might even grow up to hate your life's work. Your legacy can be one of inspiration, or one of scorn. We're not that different, Mr. Magnetic. We want to save those beneath us. So let's keep the peace and do the right thing.
The right thing? Enslaving innocents? That's the right thing?
You'll wish you hadn't done that. Hold still. Subjects, this is your Emperor. I am outlining the terms of your surrender. Those who cease now will only be imprisoned for 8 months, then free to go. No one will have to live their lives as an ex-rebel. I don't want any more death today. I want to carve out new paths to the future and leave this silly business behind us. Your son is going to be so disappointed, but Xandos will mold him into my next great weapon. You confuse me, Teron. I just appeal to everything you mortals believe in. What makes you think it's acceptable to stop the progress of the future? Why do you think the universe doesn't deserve a higher standard of living? A safety net for all creatures? Why do you want to deny them protection from themselves? Do you think they can be trusted to not kill each other? These worlds are dangerous, and you want to keep them that way. Why?
Because life is more than being safe.
No, not this.
It's about the freedom to pursue one's dreams. And this time I see no backup in this room. Come on, Double M, get up.
Thank you, Rosette. I'm ending this now.
Stop! You haven't a clue of what you're about to unleash.
I know exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to kill you and save countless lives from your tyranny. Then, I'm going to see them again.
Don't do this! You'll regret it!
Now, it's time to pay for your crimes.
Your last moments will be engraved in history.